What I believed to be a mere awkward misstep, a fleeting moment that would fade into oblivion, turned out to be a grave miscalculation. That day ignited a chain of events that would plunge me into the depths of the most intricate and taboo experiences of my existence. Even now, as I share this tale, my hands quiver with the weight of the memories. This is more than just a confession. It's a fierce battle within, a clash of shame and longing that pulls at my very core. Arthur, my mother's husband, exuded a magnetic presence that drew people in effortlessly. Mature and self-assured, he possessed a quiet authority that rendered words unnecessary. His very being commanded attention in any room he entered. Though he often kept to himself within the walls of his home, the mere essence of his being had the power to electrify any room. He was my mother Jessica's second husband, a figure who lingered at the edges of our lives. Though we had never forged a bond, his demeanor was consistently polite, yet an invisible wall kept us apart. That was until the moment everything changed forever. My mom, Jessica, had ventured out with her friends, as she frequently did, leaving Arthur and me alone in the house, the silence wrapping around us like a thick fog. The evening seemed tranquil, or so I believed. As I stepped into my room, the door clicked shut behind me, sealing off the world outside. I stood before the mirror, clad only in my underwear, the reflection staring back at me, a moment suspended in time. Just as I was about to slip into the dress, a faint creak echoed through the room, signaling the door's slow, ominous opening. "Emma, the door stands ajar, inviting yet ominous." Arthur's voice, soft yet piercing, emerged from the doorway, slicing through the heavy silence and jolting me from my thoughts. I shifted my gaze, and there he was, standing still, his eyes locked onto mine with an intensity that sent a shiver down my spine. Time hung in the air, suspended in a moment that felt both eternal and fleeting. Uncertainty gripped me, leaving me frozen in place. I remained utterly still, my body a canvas of vulnerability, exposed to the world around me. He hovered at the threshold, his fingers grazing the frame, caught in a silent struggle between the pull of the unknown within and the safety of the familiar outside. His gaze lingered on me, igniting a whirlwind of confusion and an unnamed sensation that sent shivers down my spine. My heart raced, each beat echoing in the silence as the tension hung in the air, stretching those fleeting seconds into what felt like an eternity. "I apologize," he spoke at last, his gaze drifting elsewhere, yet his voice trembled with doubt, as if he grappled with the weight of his own remorse over the events that had unfolded. He stepped back and closed the door, yet even after his departure, an echo of his presence hung in the air, refusing to fade away. "It's fine," I murmured, my voice trembling, yet within me a storm brewed, whispering that all was far from well. A change had occurred, an undeniable force that tugged at my senses. Isolated in the depths of my mind, I struggled to shake off the incident, convincing myself it was merely an awkward misstep. Yet, the intensity in his gaze, the barely contained tension, lingered in my mind. That moment burned itself into my memory. I believed it was merely a fleeting moment, an uncomfortable brush with fate that would soon dissolve into the shadows of memory. Yet, I was mistaken. Just days later, the darkness returned, and this time it pushed deeper into the unknown. Until that moment, I could have brushed it off as mere bad luck or a simple error, but it quickly became evident that this was just the beginning. That day was merely the prologue to an unfolding saga. The following day, an invitation to a wedding awaited us, promising an event filled with anticipation and intrigue. One of my mom's dearest friends was about to embark on a new journey of love, preparing to say "I do" once more. My mom, radiating joy and brimming with enthusiasm, was dressed to the nines, her excitement palpable as she prepared for the event. Jessica had always been a vibrant spirit, reveling in the joy of laughter and showering her friends with affection. Yet, Beneath that lively exterior, the true essence of loyalty eluded her grasp. For me, the anticipation was absent, and the thought of going filled me with reluctance. Yet, the moment Arthur stepped into the wedding, the atmosphere shifted dramatically. As we stepped through the doors, the vibrant pulse of the venue wrapped around us like a warm embrace. Amidst the thrumming chaos of the crowd, my eyes were irresistibly drawn to Arthur, each glance a silent confession of my intrigue. Had he always possessed this allure, this magnetic charm? Or was this the moment I truly began to see it? Bathed in the soft, enchanting glow of the wedding lights, he exuded an irresistible charisma that captivated all who beheld him. His tailored suit clung to him like a second skin, and with each step, he moved with an elegance that seemed almost otherworldly. I fought against the relentless tide of thoughts crashing into my mind. Stop being absurd, Emma, I chided myself. Emma, I chided myself. Yet, despite my best efforts, my eyes were irresistibly drawn back to him. A vibrant dance song erupted, and before I knew it, my mom and Arthur were swept onto the dance floor, lost in the intoxicating rhythm. Jessica's usual, carefree smile radiated joy. But in the midst of her dance, she abruptly pivoted toward me, her expression shifting to one of playful mischief. Arthur, ask Emma to dance, she urged, her laughter ringing like music in the air. I must seek out my friends for a moment of connection. A surge of anxious adrenaline coursed through my veins, quickening my heartbeat with each passing moment. Arthur paused for a heartbeat, then faced me, a confident smile breaking across his face. With a casual flick of his wrist, he beckoned. Come on, Emma. I need you to show me some of your moves. Your mom has already humiliated me in front of everyone out here. His relaxed demeanor drew me in, leaving me with no option but to concede. My hand quivered ever so slightly as I reached out to place it in his. Of course, I replied, my voice trembling with uncertainty. As we approached the dance floor, a surge of anticipation coursed through me, my heart racing beneath the scrutinizing gaze of the crowd. As his hand settled on my waist, a gasp caught in my throat. The heat of his fingertips lingered on her skin, while the subtle aroma of his cologne wrapped around her like a whisper in the night. Everything unfolded with an intensity that was almost palpable, each moment brimming with life. As we swayed to the music, Arthur's eyes were locked onto mine, a magnetic pull that held me captive. I had no idea you possessed such a natural talent, he remarked, his smile radiating a charm that was impossible to resist. Every moment spent dancing with you ignites a thrill that I never knew I craved. I averted my gaze, wrestling with the storm brewing inside me. I'm doing everything I can, I whispered, but the tremor in my voice gave me away. His smile deepened, warmth radiating from his touch, as his hand settled more firmly against my waist. Never underestimate your worth, he urged. This is more than mere dancing. A connection is unfolding between us. Can you sense it? In that instant, clarity struck like lightning, illuminating the truth of the unfolding chaos around me. Our bond transcended the mere act of dancing. As the music pulsed around me, my body swayed in perfect harmony. Yet my heart raced, and my thoughts spiraled into chaos. The cacophony of the crowd, my mother's voice, and all else dissolved into the background, leaving only Arthur in sharp focus, his hands firm and reassuring as they steadied me. Inside me, a tempest of confusion and longing surged, each feeling battling for dominance, overwhelming my senses. Amidst the swirling rhythm of the dance, Arthur's voice sliced through the haze of my tangled thoughts. The atmosphere was hushed and serene, yet it bore a heaviness that seized my focus. I need to apologize for what happened the other day, he said, his voice heavy with regret. I intended to inform you that your door was ajar, but stepping inside like that may have crossed a line, intruding upon your personal space. A surge of warmth enveloped me, igniting a flush that crept across my cheeks. My gaze fell, a desperate attempt to dissolve the mounting tension that hung in the air. It's okay, I replied swiftly, my voice quivering ever so slightly. In truth, it's hardly worth a second thought. Such events unfold in the tapestry of life. Arthur hesitated for a fleeting moment, yet the rhythm of the music pulled him forward, urging him to dance on. His gaze held mine with unwavering intensity as he spoke softly. Yet, if it stirred any discomfort within you, I want you to understand that causing such feelings was never my aim. All I sought was your gaze, to draw you in. My heart raced with urgency. I wasn't uncomfortable, I insisted, attempting to calm him even as an exhilarating tension surged within me, igniting a fire I had never felt before. Everything is perfectly all right, truly. For a fleeting instant, the atmosphere around us thickened, charged with an unspoken tension as we swayed together in the dance. The heat of his hand on my waist ignited a spark, and the sincerity in his gaze awakened something profound within me. Yet as the final notes of the song lingered in the air, the tension melted away, leaving us suspended in a moment of stillness. "Thank you," Arthur said, his smile warm and inviting, a glimmer of sincerity in his eyes. "Your presence as a dance partner is nothing short of enchanting." I nodded, my heart pounding in my chest. "Thank you too," I murmured, my voice barely above a whisper, before I turned and made my way back to my table, the weight of the moment lingering in the air. As I settled into my seat, I fought to regain my composure. From the periphery of my vision, I caught a glimpse of Arthur, hesitating in the shadows. His eyes lingered on me, a heavy weight in the air, before he finally shifted to another table. The lingering glances spoke volumes, revealing that whatever this was between us had yet to reach its conclusion. In truth, it was merely the dawn of something extraordinary. As Jessica stepped back into the hall, a radiant smile lit up her face, drawing us in with an infectious warmth. "That was such a lovely dance," she exclaimed, her eyes sparkling with joy. "You both shone brilliantly out there." Her words sent a rush of heat through me, leaving me flustered, yet I managed to muster a faint smile. "It was exhilarating," I whispered softly. Arthur offered a courteous nod, a fleeting smile dancing at the corners of his lips. With a spark of enthusiasm, Jessica clapped her hands and exclaimed, "Guess what? Following the wedding, the girls and I are embarking on an unforgettable bachelorette party adventure. Only girls are allowed here." "Arthur, you're going to take Emma home, aren't you?" Arthur's lips curled into a subtle smile, a flicker of warmth in his expression. "Of course. That's no problem," he replied, his voice dripping with nonchalance. In that instant, a wave of clarity washed over me, revealing the stark injustice of Jessica's treatment of Arthur. On a night that was meant for their shared whispers and stolen glances, she vanished, leaving him in the suffocating silence of solitude. A sharp pang of discomfort lodged itself in my chest, yet I forced it down, refusing to let it take hold. Jessica appeared utterly indifferent. Her heart raced with excitement as she reveled in the joy of being surrounded by her friends. As the last notes of the wedding's melody faded into the evening air, Arthur and I made our way to the car, the weight of the day lingering between us. Jessica had slipped away, seeking the company of her friends in another part of the world. As we slipped into the car, Arthur turned the key, and the engine purred to life. A soft growl that hinted at the adventure ahead. The silence enveloped us during the drive, thick and heavy, as if it were a living entity pressing down on our shoulders. I gazed out the window, the silence wrapping around me like a thick fog, my mind racing with the weight of unspoken words that begged to be released. At last, the silence was broken by Arthur's voice. "Jessica," he murmured, his gaze locked on the winding road ahead. "She has a way of shifting her priorities. Yet, it never fails to astonish me just how thoughtless she can be in certain moments. On nights like these, one would naturally anticipate the comforting presence of a partner, wouldn't they?" His tone carried a calmness, a reflective quality that belied the storm brewing beneath, a palpable undercurrent of disappointment that hung in the air. His words struck a chord within me, echoing through the very depths of my being. The thought of someone like Arthur, strong, composed, and charismatic, experiencing loneliness resonated deeply within me. Gathering my thoughts, I responded, my voice trembling just a bit. Indeed, moments like these demand a deeper reflection. Arthur gave a subtle nod, his eyes reflecting a depth of thought. You're right, he said, his eyes fixed unwaveringly on the road ahead. Yet, it seems that each relationship weaves its own unique tale. In that fleeting moment, an unspoken bond began to weave itself between us, electric and undeniable. In that moment, I felt a profound connection to his loneliness, a deep understanding that resonated within me, even as I fought to keep my own emotions at bay. That fleeting exchange wove an invisible thread between us, strengthening our connection in ways we couldn't fully grasp. As we reached our doorstep, Arthur swung the door open with a flourish, inviting me to cross the threshold into the unknown that awaited within. Good night, he murmured, but the slight tremor in his voice betrayed his reluctance to part ways just yet. As I approached my room, I caught sight of Arthur lingering by the doorway, his presence a silent enigma that drew me in. An unexpected surge of instinct compelled me to halt and pivot, locking eyes with him once more. Arthur, I whispered, my voice barely breaking the silence. Do you wish to step inside? Perhaps we could share a moment of conversation. His eyes betrayed a longing to remain, yet he offered a courteous refusal. In the aftermath of the earlier events, a palpable hesitation gripped him. I had extended the invitation, a gesture meant to convey that I had moved beyond it, that it no longer held any weight in my heart. Yet, I found myself withdrawing to my room, haunted by the echoes of Jessica's actions and Arthur's words, each replaying in a relentless loop within my mind. His loneliness enveloped me, a heavy shroud that seeped into my very being, stirring emotions I was reluctant to confront. Perched on the edge of my bed, I fought to find my balance, yet my thoughts swirled chaotically, refusing to be silenced. Why did thoughts of him consume my mind so relentlessly? Why was I unable to shake the memory of that moment when he stumbled into my room uninvited and unexpected? As the hours slipped away, an eerie silence enveloped the house, deepening the shadows that danced in the corners. Jessica was still missing from our home, and uncertainty gnawed at me as I wondered what Arthur was up to. As the tempest of emotions raged within me, the unexpected creak of my door swinging open sent a jolt through my body, leaving me paralyzed. My eyes darted upward, locking onto Arthur as he loomed in the doorway. His eyes held a fierce determination intertwined with a deep inner conflict, his expression a tantalizing enigma. I sprang to my feet. Arthur, I exclaimed, my voice tinged with disbelief. What brings you to this place? He silently shut the door, a soft click echoing in the stillness, yet he hesitated, rooted to the threshold, the shadows of the room beckoning him forward. Instead, he hovered at the threshold, contemplating the choices that lay before him. Emma stood at the edge of the world, her heart racing with anticipation. The air crackled with unspoken possibilities, and the shadows whispered secrets only she could hear. Every moment felt charged, as if the universe itself was holding its breath, waiting for her next move. He started, his voice a deep, weighty whisper filled with raw emotion. Indeed, Jessica, you have a point. She has not shown me the fairness I deserve. But tonight, my mind drifts away from thoughts of what Jessica might be doing or not doing. He edged nearer, his gaze piercing into mine. For a while now, I felt something for you, he confessed, his voice unwavering yet laced with uncertainty. It was a day that changed everything, the moment I stumbled into your room by sheer accident. It lingers in my thoughts, an unshakable presence that refuses to fade away. The atmosphere was thick, as if every breath had been stolen away, leaving an unsettling silence in its wake. A void enveloped my thoughts. Words eluded me, slipping through my fingers like sand, and my mind was a chaotic storm, unable to grasp a single coherent thought. Arthur forged ahead, a fierce determination igniting within him, as if he had resolved to bare his soul, come what may. Perhaps this decision will haunt me. He pressed on, his voice fading to a whisper. Perhaps this is a grave error, but I can't keep it buried any longer, Emma. You occupy my thoughts relentlessly. He halted, his gaze locked onto my face, probing for any flicker of emotion. His gaze pierced through me, and I felt the weight of my shock hanging in the air, yet the words remained trapped in my throat, refusing to escape. He edged closer, each step laced with uncertainty, his voice softening as he spoke. You see me, Emma, he whispered, his voice barely breaking the silence. Unbeknownst to you, there's a depth of understanding between us that Jessica has never grasped. My heart pounded violently, each beat threatening to shatter the confines of my chest. The air was thick with tension, pressing down like a heavy shroud. Words danced on the tip of my tongue, eager to escape, yet my mind held them captive, stubbornly silent. The silence between us thickened, a palpable weight laden with unspoken emotions that neither of us had the courage to confront. At last, Arthur averted his eyes, letting them fall to the ground, as if the weight of unspoken words pressed heavily upon him. With a deep sigh, his shoulders heaved, rising and falling as though they were weighed down by an invisible crushing load. I'm sorry, Emma, he murmured, his voice barely a whisper, trembling like a fragile leaf caught in the wind. Regret washed over me like a tidal wave, crashing against the shores of my mind. I shouldn't have uttered a single word of this. The time has come for me to go. He pivoted, his gaze fixed on the door ahead, each step a calculated struggle, the weight of his journey evident in every movement. As he extended his hand toward the doorknob, I caught a glimpse of his shoulders rising and falling with a heavy, deliberate breath. In that instant, a profound transformation stirred within me. As the confusion and fear dissipated, an unexpected boldness surged within me, awakening a strength I never knew I had. Arthur, I called out, my voice a whisper laced with determination. He halted, his pace diminishing as he pivoted to confront me once more. Our gazes locked, and in that fleeting moment, I glimpsed the storm brewing within him, a tumult of regret intertwined with an aching desire. In that fleeting instant, time stood still, and neither of us dared to break the silence. With a heart racing and hands quaking, I slowly let the straps of my dress slip from my shoulders, watching as the fabric cascaded to the floor. The dim light in the room cast shadows that danced across my bare shoulders, while the cool air whispered against my skin, sending shivers down my spine. Arthur's gaze pierced through the air, intense and unwavering, tracking my every move with an unsettling precision. I was utterly captivated, unable to tear my gaze from the scene before me. I still remember it all too well. I spoke, my voice trembling yet fueled by an unwavering resolve. That day, when you stepped into my room, the world as I knew it shifted irrevocably. I've been wrestling with these emotions, desperately trying to bury them, but they refuse to stay hidden. My feelings mirror yours, a reflection of the bond we share. Perhaps I felt this way for an eternity. The words erupted from my lips, each one a desperate gasp as my heart thundered in my chest, threatening to burst forth at any moment. Arthur fell into a heavy silence, his gaze locked onto mine, as if he were unraveling the weight of my confession. In his gaze, I felt the magnetic pull, the undeniable connection that had been weaving its way through my heart. Tonight, I declared, inhaling deeply to ground my racing thoughts, I can no longer bear the weight of these emotions that consume me. I'm uncertain about what is right or wrong, yet this is the truth of my emotions. Arthur moved in, his hand softly caressing my face, igniting a spark of tension in the air. His touch was a blend of tenderness and intent, as if he feared to break the delicate spell that hung in the air between us. As our gazes locked once more, the space that separated us vanished, leaving only the electric pulse of connection in its wake. With a deliberate slowness, he drew closer, and our lips finally collided in a moment charged with anticipation. That first kiss ignited a whirlwind of emotions and desires we had kept buried for what felt like an eternity. Arthur's touch ignited a fire within, and his kisses deepened, each one more passionate than the last, as time slipped away. Stopping was a notion that never dared to cross my mind. In that instant, I was utterly engulfed, adrift in the depths of the experience. Slowly, I retreated, my heels brushing against the edge of the bed, until I could no longer resist the pull of gravity and surrendered to the soft embrace of the mattress beneath me. My gaze was drawn to Arthur as his fingers deftly worked the buttons of his shirt, each one slipping free with a tantalizing slowness. His movements were deliberate, as if every second between us held unspoken meaning. When he removed his shirt, the air between us shifted, charged with a tension I couldn't ignore. He took a careful step forward, his gaze holding mine in a moment of silent understanding. As he placed his shirt aside, the space between us seemed to shrink, charged with unspoken emotions that made my pulse quicken. In us was the crackling electricity that filled the air. In that heartbeat, the world around us seemed to fade away. All that remained was the unspoken connection we'd been denying for so long, as barriers between us finally dissolved. In that moment, I felt a rush of emotions I couldn't explain, both thrilling and terrifying at once. As we sat in silence, I could hear the steady rhythm of Arthur's heartbeat, a reminder of the unspoken bond between us. The relentless thump of his heartbeat echoed in my ears, a soothing balm that clashed violently with the turmoil brewing within me. I hesitated for a moment, before finally finding the words I needed to say, my voice barely above a whisper in the quiet room. "You didn't stumble into my room by chance this time, Arthur," I said. My voice, a hushed whisper, carried the weight of unspoken truths. I raised my head to lock eyes with him, my words compelling him to face the truth, even as they laid bare the chaos swirling within me. Arthur's subtle smile barely concealed the storm of contemplation swirling within his gaze. "No, Emma," he replied, his voice steady yet laced with an unspoken tension. "Everything unfolded with purpose, yet I had to make you understand the depths of my emotions, regardless of the challenges it posed." I averted my gaze to his chest, my fingers hesitating in their movement. Drawing in a deep, calming breath, I found my voice once more. "You're such an incredible man, Arthur," I whispered, my voice barely breaking the silence between us. "But what unfolds next? What about my mother?" Arthur turned to face me, his expression thoughtful yet intense as he spoke, his words carrying a weight I couldn't ignore. In this very moment, reality envelops me, and everything pulses with an undeniable intensity. The proximity between us ignites a spark, a connection so profound that I find it impossible to ignore. His honesty stirred the tempest within me, yet it wrapped me in a strange sense of solace. I closed my eyes briefly, trying to steady my thoughts as we faced the difficult questions neither of us wanted to confront. For that brief moment, we simply existed in the present, pushing aside all thoughts of what might come next.